Hey y'all, I'm back with the YA chat, and today I'm discussing Blood Like Magic by Lascelles Sandberry. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Books with Kimberly. Don't forget to like, comment, share my channel, and subscribe. Y'all, I am so excited because I just listened to the audiobook of an amazing book called Blood Like Magic by Lascelles Sandberry, and I cannot wait to tell y'all all about it. So let's get right into it. The main character of Blood Like Magic is Voya. Voya Thomas is a 16-year-old witch. She comes from a family of black witches, and y'all know I love a black girl with some magic because black girls are magical anyway. But I love an urban fantasy book where black girls have not just the magic we're born with, but actual magical powers. In this book, Voya is a new witch. Well, technically, she isn't a witch yet because in order for her to become a witch, she has to complete a task that is handed down from ancestors in her coven of witches. So we immediately get introduced to Voya and this huge family that lives in this Thomas household. She's one of the youngest people in the house, and so she's excited that she's becoming a witch. She's also very, very scared and worried about what task she'll be given. If she passed the test, she'll become a witch and get a special power that she's hoping is this amazing power that will really help her and her family protect themselves. But if she fails her task, she won't have magic, and that will bring shame to the Thomas family name. What's interesting about this book is when we finally get the task from her ancestor, y'all, child, this task is very difficult. Voya has to destroy her first love. And she immediately starts thinking of, wow, what do you mean by destroying my first love? She interprets this task as she has to fall in love with somebody and kill them. And the stakes are extremely high. Mama Agba, who is the ancestor who gives her this task, tells her that not only will she lose magic if she fails this task, her entire family and future generations of the Thomas family will no longer have magic. All of that pressure is on this 16-year-old girl. When it comes to who Voya is going to have as a love interest, she finds out that she's been selected to be in a program that matches her with her true love. And her true love is the intern of Justin Tremblay, who is the owner and founder of this huge company. And so the intern, Luke, who is her match, she decides he is who she's going to have to destroy. So she wants to fall in love with Luke, get to know him, destroy him to save magic for her family. But of course, as she begins to really like Luke, she's not going to want to kill him. So let's dig a little bit deeper into this story. I am a little bit conflicted on whether I'm going to give this book 4 stars or 5 stars. Some things I love about this book, and there are some things that I was a little bit critical of. Some of the things I love about this book is this is another book, the second book I'm reading this month, that takes place in Canada. So I get to see a little bit of that urban Canadian culture. And this book also takes place in the future, 2040. So there's a lot of advanced technology that's really cool. So another thing I really love about this book is you really see LGBTQIA representation. There are 2 trans characters as well as 2 characters who are queer. Her love interest, Luke, is actually a trans man, and she has a very talented and artistic cousin, Alex, who is a trans woman. Some of my criticism about this book really centers around the plot. I did not like how high the stakes were for Voya. Like, I was expecting her to have a hard task. But having to destroy your first love, and even if we go into, I guess this may be a spoiler or not, she starts to realize maybe she can look at this task differently. Her first love may not be her first romantic love, but it could be the first person she fell in love with, who could be one of her family members. Still, you have to destroy somebody. And whether destroying is murder or having to do something that makes life harder for another human who you love, that's a hard thing to have to do. And so, yes, I love books where, the plot is really intense. This book, the stakes were extremely high, because on top of like having to kill somebody and your family losing magic, there was also a family member who, if they would lose magic, this family member would die. So that made the stakes extremely, extremely high. Also, their livelihood, they use their magic to help them work. And so her family not having magic, how are they going to make money? Like I said, y'all, the stakes were extremely high for Voya to pass this task that seems impossible. And I think that's what really made me kind of iffy about this plot, is it just felt so like lose. It's like, what's the light at the end of the tunnel? Because yeah, you could pass the task, keep your family member alive, everyone keeps magic, but you've murdered somebody. And then to make the stakes even higher, in this magical system that they have in the book, there's a thing of pure witches and impure witches. Pure witches, they use their own blood, they cut their finger and do a spell. Impure witches use the blood of other people and sacrifice humans in order to conduct spells. And the big thing about it is blood plus intent. Being an impure witch isn't technically a bad thing if the intent is there, meaning if you are sacrificing one person in order to protect a huge group of people, you have good intent, and therefore the ancestors won't frown upon it. It's the matriarch of the Thomas family, who is Voya's grandmother, Ava. She did not like the fact that her family had a history of killing people and harming people in order to do magic. And she decided that her family would, going forward, when she became the matriarch, be a pure family. And so Voya murdering somebody would technically make their family impure, where they have a recent history of being pure witches. That makes the stakes even higher. So I really did not like that there wasn't a bright light at the end of the tunnel. Of course, the good thing about having a book that has such high stakes is that it keeps you wanting to read and figure out what happens. Like, how is this going to end? I have no clue what she's going to do. Who's she going to destroy? How's she going to destroy them? What's going to happen to her family and magic? It kept you wanting to read. It kept me not wanting to put the book down, which is a good thing. Another criticism I had is that I felt like there were a lot of plots, and the plots did not make sense to me. There was an aunt that she found out that she had, that she forgot. And so all of a sudden, in the middle of her having to get to know Luke in order to fall in love with him, she's getting distracted by this aunt, and then she's trying to find an internship for her cousin, and then she's also trying to figure this out and figure that out. And I'm like, there are so many plots that she's juggling. But I kind of have to erase that as a criticism, because at the end of the book, the author found an amazing way to tie up everything. There was even like a missing girl plot, but at the end of it, the author wraps everything up. Everything made sense. Everything came to a close, and the ending was very explosive, very action-filled, very heartfelt, and I really enjoyed the ending of the book. Another criticism I had is that I felt like the book was a little info dumpy, and not just a little info dumpy. I mean, every single character Voya was giving us their background, who they are, who they like to date. I mean, it was just so info dumpy. What their magical powers were, the history of this family, the history of that family, all this new gene and all the technology jargon, all the witch jargon, all the, it immersed us in Canadian culture and Trinidadian culture. She has roots from New Orleans, so they gave background on that and how her ancestors were back in the day. it was a lot of info on these characters. And so it was a lot to take in. I was trying to take all these notes, trying to remember everything because I felt like it would be important in the book. And so it was a lot trying to juggle all that information being thrown at you in this book. But the good thing about that is because I learned so much about these characters in this world, it really kept me reading. It really kept me intrigued. And it also makes me want to read the second book, which there is a second book coming out, a sequel to this one. And I absolutely want to read it because I'm so invested in her family and want to know what happens to everybody and what happens to her and how does she use powers if she gets powers by passing the task. I want to know what happens in this second book so much. And a huge part of that is because the author gives you so much details on the family and you're invested in what's going to happen with her and the Thomas family. I'm really caught in between. Do I give this book 4 stars? Do I give it 5 stars? I said I would give it 4.5, but I don't know because as you see, a lot of the criticism I have, there are also good things that came out of that. I think for today, I'm going to give this book 4 stars because I did love it. I love the culture. I love the Black girl magic. I love all the magic, the LGBTQIA representation. It was humorous. It was enjoyable. It was a lot going on. And because it was a lot going on, it was a lot to really interest you and keep you hooked. But it also, was a bit overwhelming. And so overall, today I'm going to give it a 4. By the time I do my March monthly wrap up, maybe I'll have changed my mind and given it a 5. But I definitely recommend that all of you read this book. It was an amazing YA fantasy, urban fantasy book, Black girl magic. So y'all, that is my feelings on this book. Get down in those comments and let me know if you've read this book. Let me know if you have any recommendations. And y'all, thank you again for tuning in to another Books with Kimberly video.